Hello and welcome to the Sports Lounge. I'm Nathan Stacken. We have a great show for you today. Among the things we will be talking about, giving a recap of our thoughts on the NCAA Tournament, and we'll have game time, which will be shorter this week than last week, I can assure you that.
Tragedy.
And with that, we welcome you to the Sports Lounge. I'm Nathan Stacken. Joining me today, Travis and Drew and Charlie. Blake is still hunkered down in a cave somewhere with doing his latest draft previews and stuff. He might be on next week. We don't know. He will for sure be on for our draft preview show, which will be, I believe, Tuesday, April 25th.
26th.
26th, my bad.
Airing the 27th and the 28th.
Because we are taping before the NCAA Men's Championship game, which is on Monday night.
Well, they're playing after us.
Yes.
Was on Monday night.
We are going to just talk about our overall thoughts from the NCAA tournament. And Travis, I'd like to hear your thoughts.
Congratulations to Connecticut for winning the national title. I'll just say that right now.
I hope you're wrong.
I'm not. But I enjoyed it. It was another good tournament. You know, hardly does a tournament go by where I'm disappointed. Usually it lives up to the hype, and I like the mid-major battle there on Saturday between VCU and Butler. And the big dogs in the late game, so another quality tournament.
No ones or twos in the Final Four. I think is that a first ever?
Yeah.
Yes.
So that really just kind of speaks about the unpredictability of this tournament, I think. So that in itself is kind of captivating. I enjoyed it. That's about all I can say about this tournament. It was a wild ride, and I got to see every game that I wanted because they were all available for my viewing.
Yeah, I agree. It was nice being able to have options and watch whatever game you wanted to. I really enjoyed that. I liked the VCU and Butler storyline, them both making it to the Final Four. Butler winning the Final Four, making that half-court shot. Okay, that's probably not how it's going to play out. But no, I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun, upsets. Like Travis, I'm usually entertained by it, and I was entertained this year.
And the good thing is we know who the best team in the country is because that team wins the last game of the year in the championship.
It's versus the BCS.
And we don't
college football.
have to have a game like Ohio State versus Kansas, which it would have been under BCS rules.
Well, if Butler wins, are they really the best team in the country?
They're the hottest team.
They were the only
They're the
team in the
hottest
tournament not to lose.
They're the champions.
What do you think?
I'm not disputing that they're not the champions. They obviously are crowned national champions. I'm
That's
not
all that
disputing
matters.
that at all. But
Arguably, this has been the most difficult year to fill out a bracket with all the upsets that we've seen. Does that speak, and I know we touched on this a few weeks ago, to the overall parity of college basketball, or just how weak a year this was in college basketball?
I'll take the cop-out answer and say it's both of them. Because I think it was kind of a weak year, but with all the big schools having guys go one and done or 2 years and then they're done, that it really waters it down sometimes. And teams like Butler and VCU that have guys that have been there for a while and get chemistry going just have they've got a big advantage sometimes.
I pertain that it's going to be extremely difficult to really establish kind of a powerhouse team that truly great team that's just going to simply, just out-scheme and the whole thing, just so much talent that they're going to win regardless. I don't think that's been seen in quite a few years, and I think a good part of that has to do with the rule with the one and done. We have to play 1 year, they can go to the NBA. I think that's kind of hurt the college basketball game in terms of.
Does that need to be changed?
I think it should be 2 years. That's my belief. And I kind of think it's going to happen eventually. However, I don't think that's necessarily bad for college basketball. I just think it means I guess you're going to see that parity more likely. But we wouldn't be talking about this if Butler doesn't make the championships 2 years in a row, and I think that just speaks to how well Brad Stevens has rounded up players and how poorly Indiana University has not gotten those players.
Will they become a national contender, a national powerhouse, do you think, Travis?
I don't think they'll reach the Final Four like they have been. If they reach it again, I would say that would be a surprise. But I think, like these guys said, ever since that NBA rule went into effect here 5, 6, 7 years ago, we've seen more mid-majors go deeper, make more Final Fours. And it's ironic that there are no dynasties anymore in college basketball, but the closest thing we've gotten to a dynasty in these last few years is Butler, someone who keeps all their players for 4 years.
Right. That's a great example is what's happening with Butler right now, where you get a team that's sticking around, and you got a young coach who knows what type of game to play to stop teams like UConn, like they'll play tonight, or they already played, or Duke last year. But I think what Butler is doing is extremely unique, and it's not something that I think you're going to see again for quite a while. As far as a mid-major going all the way to the title game, maybe even winning one, or maybe they did win it. This is so confusing.
Well, the last time, I think the last time this happened, period, with a mid-major making the title game 2 years in a row was UNLV, who
Right,
I don't even know if that counts anymore. I'm assuming they probably got those taken down with all their illegal recruiting violations and stuff. But I don't know. I think college basketball should be like baseball, where you can go pro if you want to right away, but if you stay 3 years then.
Two parts to this question here. One, is this the best tournament we've seen in a long time? And two, is it the most exciting?
Last year's was better. Last year's was more exciting for me.
I have a hard time even really kind of gauging that because,
First year was 68 teams. Does that
No.
make it anything? We saw more tip-ins and buzzer beaters this
Because
year
there were
than
just
we have in a
3
long
extra
time.
games there that didn't mean anything, really.
for me, I think the excitement level or just the intrigue level remains relatively the same, I think. I guess you could theorize that it is more exciting in terms of sort of the drama of some refs, some end of game theatrics. I think you could make a case for that, but for me, it's the excitement level and stuff stays relatively the same every year. And it's always, you fill out your bracket and there's just so many constants with the tournament. There's going to be a buzzer beater. There's going to be upsets. I guess you could say there was maybe some more of those than usual this year.
I think maybe this, to me, I think this one was a little bit more exciting than, the last 3 or 4 years or so. Further back than that, I don't know. I don't remember. I'd have to pull out notes and start checking that out. But, I think with all the upsets and the buzzer beaters, kind of like you mentioned earlier, I think this has been a little bit more entertaining than the last 3 or 4 years or so.
Maybe you should take out those notes. I hear you keep a lot of them.
I do. They're actually in my wallet. I'd have to unfold
well.
it a lot, though. It'd take forever.
Oh, man.
This has been one of the most watched tournaments in a long time with all the 4 networks. And we'll see how the championship ratings come. I hope they're good. I don't know why they wouldn't be. Butler, everybody knows the Butler story by now. And Connecticut's a good, solid team on, a 10, 11 game winning streak here. So it's 2 good teams. You got the big school and the little school. So it's got a good storyline to it.
And one of the best players in the country in Kemba Walker, too.
The best game of the tournament, in your opinion, I know we touched on this a couple weeks ago, but things have changed. There have been some more games played. Overall, now, as you look at it, the best game of the tournament.
I'll still go with what I said here a week or 2 ago. I'll go with that Florida-Butler game because it was a chance to go to the Final Four, and it was probably Butler's toughest game they've had in their 2-year run here, including that Duke game last year, even though they lost. They pulled it out in the end. They were down almost double digits there, and they go in overtime, and they ended up winning it.
I think the one I'll remember more than any will be that Virginia Commonwealth-Kansas game because of the way VCU came out. They're up 20 before halftime, and this is the body language on Kansas, and then how excited and how sort of sure VCU were of themselves, and I thought that was just great. And then, for me, that's going to stick out, not necessarily because it was maybe the most closely contested, but I don't know. For me, that just had so much entertainment value just to see, a program like VCU just be so hot, and then to see Kansas be like, what's going on? What is this?
I think my favorite was probably UConn and Arizona. I just really like that. You had a really close game that came down to the wire, and college stars and Kemba Walker and Derek Williams battling back and forth, and I think that was the one I was entertained by the most.
You can't go wrong with like 12 or 13, maybe 15 games here that were down to the wire, tip-ins, buzzer beaters, whatnot. But I think the best game to me was the Butler and Pittsburgh game that we saw in the 3rd round now, as they call it, which Butler won 71-70. I think it was just with the amount of fouls in that last few seconds and just the drama of it all. that's really all what March Madness is all about, and everything was in that game that you could ask for. Butler won that game, and now they made it to the Final Four and national championship game.
Well said.
Yes,
well said,
thank you.
Stacking.
Thank you.
And we all picked different games.
Yeah.
How nice.
It was a great tournament overall, though. And when we return to the Sports Lounge, we will be discussing baseball from over the weekend. Opening day weekend is done. I know there's still almost 160 games to go, but I'll tell you our initial thoughts from the baseball season. When we return, you're watching the Sports Lounge. Hello and welcome back to the Sports Lounge. I'm Nathan Stacken. We are now shifting our attention to baseball, who had their opened their season last weekend. And there are a few teams that started off on a bit of a surprise note, good and bad. So, I turn to the panel here. What is your initial reaction from the weekend? Any team, most notably?
Well, the Red Sox are probably only going to win 12 games this season. They haven't won yet. I mean, they might as well. The curse of the Bambino's back. I mean, they're just screwed. They might as well give up already. I'd cash it in.
I'm just surprised that Major League Baseball is a person. That intro. I'm sorry.
What?
Well, he said MLB, who started theirs. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'll apologize when we go to commercial.
Boy, that was lame.
I'm sorry. What was I going to say?
That was
See, I lost my train of thought.
FDR's legs.
Oh no.
Too soon. Huh?
Okay.
You see. But anyway, I think if you're a fan of any team, I don't think you should be lying on the ground, shivering with convulsions for the way your team performed, good or bad.
Don't tell that to the people in Boston, because since
You can go to hell.
the season began,
Boston.
the season began. Well, since
3 days
baseball
ago.
season's been around, only 7 teams, I believe, that started 0-3 have made the playoffs, and only 4, I believe, have won the World
How many
Series.
teams
And the
have
last
started?
one was the Yankees in 1998. They won 114 games, but.
So you're telling me
Is
the
Boston the
team's gonna
biggest
win 110?
disappointment? I know, but is Boston the biggest disappointment that we saw over opening weekend?
For 3 games.
I'm
biggest
just saying there was a lot. There was a lot of people saying that Boston
Who are these
was
people?
going to be a World Series contender. All the experts.
And they can't still be one.
No, I know, but
No, they can't.
didn't you expect a better showing against
They
Texas?
play.
I don't
Texas is a good team, though. It's not like
Texas
they're
is a good
playing
team.
Kansas City. They're playing Texas.
Here's the thing.
They're defending champs.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think you can be disappointed in a particular team. I think you can maybe be a little surprised at some teams, though. I think you can be surprised with the things that Baltimore's done in sweeping the Rays, the way they did it. That looked like,
road.
and they look like a team that wanted to go out, that were more assertive than previous Orioles teams who let's face it, really didn't have the confidence
Fighting
of
Buck
the period.
Showalters now.
You could say it's the Showalter effect, certainly. That's a team that surprises me, but you can't say, all right, Baltimore's a playoff contender. Absolutely
No,
not.
I'm
I
not
don't
saying
think-
that. I'm sorry. It's surprise
I know you're
from
not.
opening week.
Yeah, and I think that's a surprise to see them kind of play the way they did with all those close games. Conversely, I don't even know who's 0-3 right now.
Milwaukee.
You said Milwaukee. I think Milwaukee
Boston.
is a little surprising because they can hit so well, and Ricky Weeks is lighting it up so far with the bat. Milwaukee's kind of a disappointment for me, but
Houston's 0-3 too.
well, I think that's a little more to be expected. I don't think Houston's expected to contend at all this year, and they're not surprising anybody. So,
Twins fans, like we all are here. Are you, Charlie?
Nope.
I guess I should ask
I'm
that.
not, but I'm not
Okay.
going to be offended.
Apart
he
from
likes
I don't
Twins.
Well, yeah.
He doesn't like Twins
Okay.
baseball.
Not the ugly
The
ones,
Twins did not have a good offensive outing or good outing in general in any of their 3 games against Toronto, though they did manage to win Sunday's game 4-3. They scored 8 runs in the series against Toronto and gave up 22. Is there any cause for concern amongst Twins fans with that pitching?
Nope. You go.
Well, I would just like to say, congrats. I'm really proud of Nick Blackburn for coming through with those 5 1/3 innings.
That's all you can expect. 5 1/3 after that. Cut his arm off.
Yeah, just to get through that, that's awfully impressive and just gaudy, really. So, the sarcasm is just flowing through my veins right now.
Yeah.
Good.
Tell.
They played really, really, really bad. Really bad. Defensively, pitching, Liriano was everywhere. Pavano, again, if you're a Twins fan, you can't expect Pavano to win 17 games with a low 3.8 ERA this year. You just can't.